Welcome. I'm Don LaPlume, President and CEO of Rhino XR Studios, and I'm here to announce the first of many experiential learning systems being developed by the Rhino team called Honor Ridge to share why it matters and what makes it different. Honor Ridge, the world's first interactive three-dimensional veterans and law enforcement memorial dedicated to true education and remembrance using Web3 and the metaverse. Here's a small part of the story that will be built into experiences that you, your children, and people around the world will be able to walk through as though they were there. The United States of America, from its very birth, with the ratification of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776, changed the trajectory of human history. Until that time, the world was run by despots, kings, and rulers who had control over all the people of their lands. The United States of America was the first nation in history where the government was created of the people, by the people, and for the people, not for a king, ruler, or despot. It has been said many times that freedom is not free. Our citizens took up arms, established militias, and went to battle, knowing full well they may never see their families again. Why did they do this? Not just to throw off a despot king. In many cases, they gave their lives so that their family, their children, and their grandchildren, along with all future generations, would know freedom and self-governance. They did this voluntarily to make a better life for those who would come after them. You will meet some of these people in Honor Ridge and even be able to speak with them and ask questions. Winning America's independence was only the beginning of the story and not our last war for freedom. The bloodiest war of America's history was the U.S. Civil War. It was also the war of our nation's survival and the fulfillment of the first sentence in the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, which says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." You see, the American Civil War was the first war ever fought in human history to set another person free, not just ourselves and our families. It may have taken a while for society to catch up to the fact that all people are created equal, that all are endowed by their Creator and with certain unalienable rights, that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But it's happened, and it's going to continue to move further. In Honor Ridge, you'll be able to experience the Battle of Little Round Top. Be there at the top of the hill with Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and his battered regiment that was now down to about 80 soldiers, and how his actions and the actions of his men captured over 400 Confederate soldiers, and in so doing saved the flank of the Union Army. It is widely believed by historians that if that battle was lost, the Union Army would have been taken from the back, and that the war would have been over by the end of the summer, with the Confederate Army as the victor. It is also widely believed that had that occurred, America would not be one nation today. It would have become at least 3 and maybe as many as 5 different nations. What would have happened with slavery had that occurred? What would have happened in World War II? There would not have been a United States of America big enough and strong enough to defeat Nazi Germany and the Axis of evil, not to mention Japan. In Honor Ridge, you will not only learn the story of Colonel Chamberlain and his men, but you'll be there to witness the scene as it unfolded, both from the top of Little Round Top to the bottom of Little Round Top with the Confederates, to see the scene through their eyes. History is always two-sided. If we are truly to learn from history, we must understand it. That means understanding the winning and losing sides, the good and the bad. We need to be able to look at mistakes we made so that we may never make them again. We also need to look at the successes we have had and how we can replicate those. In Honor Ridge, you will meet and be able to speak with many of the heroes whose names we all know, such as President George Washington, President Abraham Lincoln, and General George Patton. You'll also meet the Tuskegee Airmen, Audie Murphy, and soldiers from every war where the United States has been involved. You will meet those who protected our freedoms at home and still do so to this day. My friends, every day when we leave our homes, we walk by or drive by heroes. We don't always know it, as they're not always in uniform. And I'm not just talking about our incredible American soldiers. I'm talking about the men and women who have dedicated their lives to protecting us here in America. Our local and state police, our firefighters, and others. These heroes leave their homes each day, give their spouse and kids a kiss and tell them that they love them, and they know that when they walk out that door, it's possible they may never see their family again, because they could be killed in the line of duty just protecting someone else's life. And yet, they still walk out that door and go to work and are there to protect us. These are the heroes all around us. Not only will you meet some of these heroes in Honor Ridge and be able to speak with them and ask them questions, but you will get to learn what their job is really like every day. The stresses they must handle, along with many of the other aspects of their job, we as everyday citizens being protected never hear about. We will hear the officer's story in Honor Ridge. You'll meet some of the incredible heroes of law enforcement and the strides they make to protect all citizens while overcoming sometimes overwhelming opposition. Folks, today we have a large portion of our younger generation that have always lived in freedom. They don't know the evils of this world and what would place them under bondage, and so they don't believe that there's any real threat. They take their freedom completely for granted. The freedom that so many heroes gave their lives to secure and protect. Honor Ridge will tell the story of America's heroes, from the country's birth to the present time. It will show the great things that have been accomplished because of these heroes and others. It will also show some of the things we need to learn from and help to ensure those are not repeated. Freedom is not free and should never be taken for granted. Otherwise, one day, we'll find ourselves without it. We must give every generation the opportunity to learn the truth of life and the thin threads that bind us all together. We must celebrate the greatness of what America has accomplished, the freedom and opportunity we have shown the world, and all the way our freedom and success have allowed us to help other nations and make the world a better place. Honor Ridge will tell the true American story. It will not only let you experience the key battles of the Revolutionary War and Civil War, but will take you to Normandy, Pearl Harbor, Iwo Jima, La Drang Valley, and Fallujah. Inside a memorial are names of the fallen from every war, as well as the Blue Line Wall that will contain the name of every fallen officer in U.S. history. Next to that is the Hidden War Wall. This wall contains markers for every life lost to PTSD for the past 50 plus years. It will add a new marker every 65 minutes to reflect the ongoing battle of losing 22 soldiers a day to suicide, and one more marker at midnight to signify the loss of nearly one first responder a day. If you believe this is needed, there are 3 ways you can help make Honor Ridge a reality for generations to come. First, please subscribe to the Honor Ridge newsletter. Stay informed. Second, we have a limited number of Honor Ridge founding supporter memberships. Please choose to be a founding member. Not only will you be helping Honor Ridge to become a reality, but you'll be a part of a legacy that inspires freedom and protects our unalienable rights endowed by our Creator. Third, if you have artifacts, knowledge, documents, or information that needs to be part of Honor Ridge, including real stories, then please apply to be a contributor of Honor Ridge and help us to not only build out all of the content, but ensure the information's integrity. Thank you for being a part of making, teaching, and honoring history and our great American heroes.